So now I'm back. I'm ready to get going. And we just gonna jump right into it. Like I said before, if you didn't catch it before, that's what we're discussing today. Dragon Ball Z hot takes. There are a bunch of them, but I am only going to do 10. So without further ado, sit back, grab a snack, and let's chat. Man, I haven't said that in a minute. All right. The first one I want to go with is The History of Trunks. To me, is the best movie in terms of storytelling. Now, I understand that a lot of people will gravitate towards the Broly movie or maybe Battle of Gods or, Cooler, whatever the case may be. Some people might think Bardock is the best movie, and I respect that. In no way am I debating what's the better movie or what's the worst movie. I'm just here to give my own opinions. In my opinion, I feel like History of Trunks was the best story told movie. It may be a little controversial. I get that. Um, but a couple of reasons why I like this movie in particular so much is because, for one, this movie actually ties into the canonical storyline, whereas the other ones are just kind of one offs, like, hey, we're done. They might mention aspects of the canonical storyline, but they don't tie directly into it like History of Trunks does. Um, it doesn't have your typical hero wins low type shit or Goku comes in and saves the day or anything like that. It doesn't have any of that. I mean, hell, it's probably the darkest movie in the franchise, and that's why I like it so much because it strays away from the normal shit. And instead of having the heroes win, you come in with it. The movie starts on a dark note. I mean, it starts with fucking Goku dying from his heart disease because in this particular timeline, I guess the medicine didn't get to him in time or whatever, or it just didn't work. I'm not entirely sure how that came to be, but yeah, Goku starts out dead from the heart virus. Um, oh no, you know what? I know what happened. There was no antidote. That's exactly why. I'm gonna come back to that though. But Goku dies in the beginning, and the androids kill off the Z fighters, like literally kill off the Z fighters. Only ones left are Gohan and Trunks. Gohan, the first battle that we see, gets his goddamn arm severed off. So he's now a one arm Saiyan. Trunks kind of gets his too, but I mean, hell, he just kind of got knocked out, and then that was pretty much that. Fast forward to the second fight, Gohan's dead, and that was a brutal way to go out, in my opinion. I mean, goddamn. But like I said, I appreciate that this movie, even if it's not necessarily canonical, that it directly ties into the canonical story with the ending of the movie being Trunks going back into time, which is what we know in the canonical storyline as, when Mecha Frieza came back, blah blah blah. So I appreciate that movie a little more. Like I said, I mean I know a lot of people's favorites are, Broly and Battle of Gods, and I definitely respect that. Moving on, my second hot take is I think Jiren was a kind of a boring antagonist in a way, but I don't fault Jiren's like fully. I know that he was introduced very late to the Super Series, in the Tournament of Power. Doesn't really have that much of a backstory going on. I mean, we know how he came to be with his comrades being, killed off or what have you, and him not really trusting people and his power coming from his trauma. But if we think about it, who else in the series has a story similar to that? Our favorite prince, Vegeta. Vegeta's entire planet was blown up. All of his people were killed off as well. His dad was killed. We don't know what the hell is going on with his brother. I mean, that's kind of a sticky situation, though. We don't know what's up with that. It was his planet was killed by the very person he was working for, called by the very person he's training under. And for those who don't really know that story, Vegeta's planet was actually named after his lineage, basically, Planet Vegeta. Apparently, it was named after him. It was supposed to be his planet once King Vegeta stepped down. Hence the reason why he was the prince. He was basically sworn into that role, and it was gonna come natural to him. He was gonna be a king one day, I think. However, Frieza, the person who he was working for at the time, destroyed his planet, and then lied about it and said that a meteor was the reason for the planet's destruction. However, all of that shit was a lie. I mean, we know Frieza killed, we know Frieza destroyed the planet, but we also didn't realize until Battle of Gods came around that Beerus was the one that ordered the fucking, ordered Frieza to destroy the planet. So now he goes from working under somebody that killed his planet to training under someone who, well, not training under per se, but training on the planet that belongs to the person that ordered the destruction of his planet. It's a tongue twister. I understand. I trust me. I know. But I digress. Going back to Jiren, uh, I just feel like his design is kind of boring, and we can agree to disagree because I know a lot of that might be an unpopular opinion. I think Jiren's design is boring. I think his backstory is unoriginal. I think this his demeanor is just boring to me. I hope that when the series comes back in whatever's coming next, that they give a little more time to Jiren. I don't know if he's set to make a comeback or not. I mean, we don't know. I know that the moral story is. I think that's going to be next or something like that. Galactic Warriors is it? Is it something like that? But in any case, yeah, I think um he has potential. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, him being introduced to the series so late is kind of what makes me feel like he was just kind of boring in that sense. But like I said, give him more time to establish himself. Give him more screen time, and that opinion will easily change. Next one is Bulma is the most important character to the Dragon Ball franchise. Now, we all like to say that Goku, Vegeta, the Z fighters are the most important people, which in some ways is true. However, imagine living in that world, knowing that there are Dragon Balls around because again, fast, rewind back to the OG Dragon Ball. Goku originally had the 4-star Dragon Ball given to him by Grandpa Gohan. Had Goku not met Bulma, he would have never known about Shenron or the Dragon Radar or well, I'm not gonna say Shenron, but I know he definitely wouldn't know nothing about the Dragon Radar. Well, then again, shit, it might lead to that not really knowing about Shenron because the Dragon Radar is what they use to find the goddamn Dragon Balls. And without Bulma around and her dad, Dr. Breeze, and all their intelligence and their mechanics, their riches, and everything that they contribute to the Z Fighters and the series as a whole, without Bulma around, I mean, who the fuck knows? But then, not only that, let's fast forward to Z. Without Bulma around, what the fuck happens with Vegeta? You know what I'm saying? Because remember, Vegeta, he really only, well, I'm not going to say the only reason he changed, but a big reason why he changed his ways was because of Bulma. Because they fell in love with each other and they became a family. And then Vegeta learned what it was to protect someone that you love. But without Bulma around, who is there? Chi Chi's already married. Vidal's already married. Well, not married in the sense, but she already has eyes on Gohan. I mean, who Fasha maybe? I don't know. I don't know what the age. No, that age difference is way off. Never mind. Well, without Bulma, who the fuck is there? You know what I'm saying? Life for the Z fighters would be so much more difficult without Bulma around, and people really need to give her flowers. Y'all know the routine. Gotta have the notes because nobody wants to hear me rambling for no fucking reason. My next one, Super Saiyan Blue, in my humble opinion, was introduced way too goddamn early to the Super series. If we think about it, Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, there was no separation in those two transformations. Super Saiyan God came in the Battle of Gods arc. Super Saiyan Blue came in the Resurrection F arc, which immediately followed the Battle of Gods arc. Had Super Saiyan Blue maybe made a I would think Super Saiyan Blue making a debut in, I'd say, maybe the tournament, not the tournament of power, but the tournament of destroyers arc, maybe, or hell, even the Goku Black arc. That might have made a little more sense. I just feel like Super Saiyan God really didn't have a lot of time to shine on its own, and I feel like Super Saiyan Blue, in a way, was kind of a cash grab on some shit because I feel they didn't really need it that early. I mean, if you can argue that being a cash grab as well as the whole Resurrection F arc or movie, you could argue that because some people do feel like Dragon Ball kind of lives in this nostalgia thing where they keep bringing back old enemies or what have you, and I respect it and I like it in a way because it's hard to kind of, well, let me stop rambling on. In a sense, in any case, like I said, Super Saiyan guy didn't really have a lot of time to really shine. In the sense that Super Saiyan 2 didn't have a lot of time to shine either before Super Saiyan 3 was introduced. But that's about it on that one. Um, let's see. So we have gone over, and just to give a little, recap, we've gone over the history of Trunks being the best movie in terms of storytelling, Jiren being a not so entertaining antagonist, Bulma being an extremely important character, if not the most important character to the Dragon Ball franchise and the Z Fighters, and Super Saiyan Blue being introduced too early. Now, moving on to the next one. This one probably won't be as controversial. It'll probably be more popular, but in my opinion, Vegeta's character clears Goku's character by miles very easily. Going back to his backstory, Vegeta had a tragic backstory. His power comes from his trauma. A sworn prince of the entire Saiyan race, an entire planet named after him and his lineage. His father being killed by Frieza, his planet being destroyed by Frieza, being used by Frieza. Um, Still not being fully aware that Beerus was the one that called that order for Frieza to destroy his planet. Constantly being surpassed by Goku, even though he takes a lot more pride in his, I guess, his life than Goku does. I'm not gonna say he takes more pride in his training, even though he probably does, but just somebody of Vegeta's lineage and the way his character goes from a cold blooded, real life Saiyan Prince, regardless, but how his character goes from one of, power and ego to one of, somebody who is still prideful and, however he does it, still always going to be a prideful, still always going to be a prince. But he was able to make that change from being evil to actually being good. Even though he did have that slip up in the Majin Buu arc when he was controlled by Babidi, which we all know he only really did that so Babidi could unlock his powers more or less. But I think Vegeta he's a better warrior than Goku. I think he's a more prideful warrior. I think he's smarter than Goku. I think that he's definitely had to overcome way more adversity than Goku has. Um, and I just think his character arc is just his redemption, his pride, what he fights for, what he stands for. I mean, as a man myself, I respect that kind of stuff because Vegeta is like the way his thought process is, be better than you were yesterday. Take pride in what you do, and whatever the fuck you do, you kill that shit regardless of how hard it is. And as a man, I can respect that and I can relate to that because we all live in a life where we want to do better than we were yesterday. We want to do the best we can in whatever it is we do. Moving on, I think I'm gonna go ahead and knock this quick one out real quick. GT Super Saiyan 4 clears Diamond Super Saiyan 4. Not even a goddamn question, bro. GT Super Saiyan 4 looks so much better. And I don't like the red hair in Diamond. I feel like they copied and pasted from Gogeta. And like I said, GT Super Saiyan 4 is just better. Moving on. Cooler, in my opinion, should be the next canonical villain. and this might be another actually popular opinion because I know how popular Cooler is. Um, it seems like every time a new event is held within, the Dragon Ball team or what have you, that a large talking point is Cooler being finally a canonical villain. We already have Frieza. I mean, we already have King Cold, and I feel like why not? I feel like Cooler should have been introduced. And I think that honestly, if I had the option, I think Resurrection F would have been a good place to introduce him. Have him come. You can have him have his own golden form based on his base form or his final form. Either way, it will look cold. You know. Um, I know that base form thing is a little bit tricky because if I'm not mistaken, in the movie, he said that his base form that we know was like his fourth form or some shit like that. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, you can have a golden cooler based off of that. I mean, hell, even in goddamn Xenoverse, I've edited my cooler to be a golden cooler. Why the fuck not? You know what I'm saying? Moving on. Um, Let me see. I have one, two. I have three more left that I'm gonna talk about, and that'll be that. Let's see. I'm gonna save these last two because these are some good ones right here. I think that Super is the most inconsistent arc in the entire franchise, and I'm gonna say why. I feel like Dragon Ball was very grounded in its origins, in its fighting style, introducing us to what will become the Z fighters that we know and love today. Just going over Goku's journey from saying, well, I hate to use monkey, but an oblivious saying to an actual fighter, to a warrior, to a husband, a father, um, and everything that we just know from Goku and Dragon Ball Z, and should I say GT? I use GT lightly and Super, and I'm not even talking about Diamond. I think if you compare Super to the other ones, like I said, OG Dragon Ball was grounded. I feel like Dragon Ball walked so Dragon Ball Z could run. I think Dragon Ball Z is the best arc in my opinion. Dragon Ball GT was okay too. I mean, it was boring at first, but then it started to pick up finally when they started introducing liable villains like Super 17 Baby and the Shadow Dragons. But before that, it was just kind of like throwaway characters. But the pacing of the story isn't the only reason why I feel like it's inconsistent. And a lot of people probably, well, a lot of people will agree with me with this. I I really want to know how Android 17, somebody who isn't weak by any means, don't get me wrong, definitely not weak, but definitely not on the level of Goku. I mean, come on now, let's just be honest. Android 17 is not on Goku's level. But how in the hell was he able to keep up with Super Saiyan Blue Goku? This motherfucker has divine powers, godlike powers, trained by an angel and the god of destruction himself, but he's going blow for with an android. So either Goku wasn't going for real, or something is up with with this power scaling. And I think the power scaling in Super was the absolute worst. The absolute worst. But what can you do? I also feel like the Goku Black and Zamasu thing, that whole arc was kind of weird. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the arc, but I just think the ending was a little off because the entire arc, it was basically known and it was basically confirmed that Trunks could not keep up with Goku Black, even in his regular form. Trunks was getting his shit knocked in by Goku Black. And when I say regular form, I mean Goku Black was in his regular form. Trunks was getting his shit. He was getting his shit knocked. But now all of a sudden, because he didn't turn Super Saiyan and got a little angry, he goes from not really being able to keep up with an original Goku Black to now being able to slice through a fused Zamasu like butter with this sword of hope shit. Nah, that don't make no sense to me. I think Vegito should have been the one to defeat Zamasu. And like I said, earlier, I think this may have been a good arc to introduce Super Saiyan Blue. Maybe. I mean, hell, it was either this or the Freezer thing, to be honest with you. But like I said, I think Blue was introduced a little bit too early. Second to last one, the penultimate hot take. I personally think, and this one hurts me. This one definitely hurts me. I think the story behind Goku's potential, not Goku, shit. The story behind Gohan's, you know, Latin potential or unlocked potential, hidden potential, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that has become a cash grab. And I hate that. I really do. I feel like they use Gohan's potential unlocked to sell tickets or to sell, releases or whatever to generate more income. The whole thing behind the superhero movie was Gohan's new transformation, Beast Mode. The whole reason why the Cell Saga is so universally loved. Gohan going Super Saiyan 2. The whole reason why people love Ultimate Gohan. Because it was like he was finally being pushed back into the spotlight as him. But the only battle that actually, let me rephrase that. The only time that they didn't waste it was the Cell Saga. And I'm not gonna say the superhero movie just yet because we don't know what's gonna come after that. So I'm gonna leave that on the back burner. But for damn sure, the Cell Saga was the only time that they actually capitalized on Gohan's potential. Even though they kind of pulled a fucking entire 180 right after the shit, which I don't understand why they did that, and I don't really care for it that much. But it's like when you finally have that one character that's so beloved by people like me, my favorite character in the Dragon Ball franchise, finally breaking through that goddamn barrier that haunted him since a child, only to be brought back down to earth with damn near no training after the fact. He rose to peak shit when he finally transformed to Super Saiyan 2 against Cell. And immediately after that, he stopped training and he got weak. And then not only that, during the Super arc, he stopped training and he got weak. So much so to where Trunks himself couldn't even recognize the dude. He couldn't even sense him. Gohan walked dead past him after school, and Trunks couldn't even sense this man. Like, let that sink in. At this point, Gohan can still go Super Saiyan. He can still go Super Saiyan too, but he's so weak that he can't even be sensed by Trunks, who isn't that strong either. Not saying he's not strong, but compared to Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, Trunks is not that strong. That's no, that's not good. The writers really got to do better with Gohan, in my opinion, because I feel like he's being wasted. He's the strongest fighter, in my opinion, because the hybrid human Saiyan DNA allows him to really channel his emotions more, whereas pure-hearted Saiyans or pure-blooded Saiyans, should I say, they don't really regulate emotions like that. They're all with like rage and stuff like that. It wasn't until Goku had something to fight for that he actually started getting stronger. And same with Vegeta, same with Gohan. But like I said, I think that his they keep using this potential unlockability as a cash grab, as a cheap cash grab at that, because they don't never capitalize on it. Now, the final hot take of this video. This one is probably going to be the most controversial one. But when you think about it, and when I explain it, it's actually going to make a little bit of sense. My final hot take is the true MVP of the Buu saga was Hercule. It wasn't Goku, even though he did kill Buu. It wasn't Vegeta, even though he bought Goku the time. It wasn't Dende. It was Hercule. Let me explain. Let's start with the Fat Buu, the original Majin Buu. Brought back by Babidi, basically to destroy humankind, destroy civilization. It didn't come until Hercule befriended Buu that he actually said that he wouldn't kill anymore. So Hercule by himself was able to change Buu and make him realize that life is precious. And if you have friends and people that love you and that you love, that's what true happiness is about. It's not about destroying cities, it's not about killing people or whatever the case may be. And then of course, the dog B coming around made it a lot better as well. The only reason why the story had to continue, or the story continued, should I say, was that bandit that killed the dog. So that bandit that killed B. Even though Majin Buu brought him back to life, if y'all remember, he came back, shot Hercule again. Not again, but he came back again and shot Hercule. And that's when, Majin Buu lost his shit. And then the gray Majin Buu came about, and then y'all know the rest. They fought, the Fat Buu lost, Super Buu came around, and yada, yada, yada. But had that bandit not been there, Hercule would have literally saved the world without even so much as lifting not even throwing a punch at Boo. And then we fast forward to the Kid Buu fight. Now, yes, like I said, Vegeta did buy Goku time, and yes, Goku was the one that technically dealt the final blow to Buu. I don't argue over, I'm not arguing with anybody on if they feel like Goku's the MVP of the Buu saga. I totally understand that. You know what I'm saying? You could he has a strong case for it. He definitely does have a strong case for it. But let's ask this question though. During Goku's time trying to gather energy for the Spirit Bomb, it took the powers of everyone on Earth, they raised their hands to lend him that power. They were not on board with that at first. It did not happen until Hercule chimed in, because again, let's realize that Hercule, even though he's probably the weakest character in all of Dragon Ball, these people love him. These people adore him. I don't know why. The motherfucker's fake as hell. But he came in clutch for that. That motherfucker did not drive automatic, because he definitely came in clutch for that. It didn't come until he started chanting to the people. Without his words of encouragement, the people of Earth would not have given their powers to Goku. Think about it. Without Hercule there, Kid Buu would have he probably would have killed Goku and Vegeta and Dende and Nakai. That, you know what I'm saying? Just think about it like that. Again, he's definitely the weakest character in the arc. Probably the weakest character in the whole damn series. But his smarts, his spunk, albeit his phoniness, is actually what saved the day on multiple occasions in the same saga. Like, come on now. He almost turned Fat Boo good. Well, he did turn Fat Boo good. Remember, the bandit was the reason why Fat Boo, let out steam, and the whole reason why the evil Boo was, or the pure evil Boo, even came to be about. And then he was the sole reason why the people lent their energy to Goku. I mean, hell, if you think about it, Hercule, that man is an MVP of that saga. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me. Hell, I'm cool with it either way. But that's all I got for y'all today, y'all. I'm gonna be back on here tomorrow, and we're gonna keep this train rolling. You hear me? So, peace.